All right, call to order. Today is Wednesday, June 17th, 2026. It is now 6 p.m. for our Downtown Development Authority regular meeting. We will now do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call. Ms. Harper is not here, so I'll be doing roll call. Supervisor File.
Here.
Chair David Gittens here. Kimberly Harper absent. Tara Hansen.
Here.
Sam Morocco.
Here.
John Doolin is running a little behind, but he is on his way. And then Gus Zortuna is absent.
So we do have a quorum.
We do have a quorum. D, review of the agenda. Do we need to make any additions? I would like to make a motion. So we've already voted on this, essentially. Let me pull it up here. So we've talked about installing the flags, right? And we do have the flags. DPW has those. We never came to a consensus of who is hanging up the
bracketry.
The brackets, yep. And so we did get a quote for the brackets. In addition, we got a quote for installing those. And so I would like to make a motion to add to IG that we would approve that we would approve the purchase of the brackets and the installation of the brackets for a total of $13,628. Okay, so we will
We
add
just
that.
need to get it on the agenda.
We need to get it onto the agenda.
Then we can
Yes.
get into the specifics probably.
Yep.
I'll second adding it to the agenda.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda to add IG bracket and flag installation and removal, cost and contract discussion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Any other additions or subtractions from the current agenda? We approved it, okay. So E, the approval of the minutes from May 20th, 2026. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll support that motion.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. F is presentations. I'm sure Mr. Carlisle will have some presentations down in the reports. G, do we have any public comments? See some members from Nowak and Frous here, but no members from the public. H, financial matters. We're going to discuss those in reports as well. And then I, reports, resolutions, and recommendations. Current activity, we'll let Mr. Carlisle let us hear from him about the items that are in item I. You're up, Dick. Mr. Carlisle, can you hear us? It looks like you can't hear us. One of us texting.
I am able to hear you guys on my end.
Okay.
Dick?
I'm going to try texting Dick because I'm not sure that he can hear us.
That's puzzled.
It looks like he's observing multiple meetings, maybe. or the World Cup.
Right, the World Cup, there we go. Well, we're in between right now, so we're good.
Is there any rule in here, in the order in which we have to do these in? Because maybe we can discuss something else while he's waiting.
We could probably just go back to D and,
I said, can you hear us? And he said, no.
Tell them to say something,
tell them to sign out and sign back in.
because we heard them a minute ago.
It says you can see the text up on the screen. Dick's typing.
Hello?
There you go.
Hey, so we can hear you.
Ours says-
Can you hear us? Jennifer, can you hear us so Jason can hear us? I'm
Correct,
hoping-
yep.
Okay, Jennifer, can you hear us? Dick's having trouble hearing the meeting.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Turn your volume up, Dick.
Is he muted?
No,
We were able to hear him, he just can't hear us.
that's what I would have done too, sign out,
Yep.
sign back in. Hit the power off button.
Okay. I don't think we have to change the agenda to discuss a different order, do you, Chuck?
Nope.
It's in the,
Okay, well, let's, I mean, we can discuss right now what we added, which is IG, the brackets and installation of the brackets and the flags. So originally we were gonna have DPW do it. It sounds like they are too swamped with the work that they have. But Dave McKee was able to find another company, which is called Banner Signs Co. And they are able to, it sounded like they were able to start this week, but the flags didn't come until Monday, so, and there is a lot of construction currently happening on Dixie, so that should be extra fun. But for each one of the banners, there is 100 of the casing fiberglass rods, there's 2 per side.
Yep.
So that totals $6,784. And then there's also the zip strips that have to keep them adhered to the light pole. So there's 200 of those. That comes to $2,624. And then for the
Wait, I'm sorry. The zip ties are $2,000 for 200 of them?
they're
David,
not
can you hear me?
zipped- I don't think.
Yes,
they're not zip ties. They're 5/8 gear band.
They're like a hose
40
clamp
inch.
that holds the steel bracket to the light pole.
Okay.
The hardware is what it is.
Yeah, you've seen them. They're like metal.
thinking
They're,
it's a
they're like
zip
hose.
on
They're hose clamps.
Okay.
Kind of like a fancy hose clamp, yeah.
Very large. And then the installation of them is, for 50 of them, is $3,095. And then there's an installation base trip charge of $1,125, which comes to a total of $13,628. So, because it's a financial matter, it's probably something that we need to discuss and vote on individually. But it's something that we definitely need to get done, is get these up there.
Yeah, well, I'll make a motion to approve the bid that we have, through Dave's help at the DPW for this. I mean, we gotta get them up.
I'll second that, even though it's kind of a clumsy motion.
Just because you didn't understand the motion.
So I think we should probably do a roll call, so.
So I think we should probably do a roll call.
We can hear you now.
no, he
We
put it
got
on
double,
his
we
phone.
got double vision.
Oh.
We got double vision here.
Okay.
It's on his phone.
Okay, so supervisor file, do you have any questions?
Nope.
Yes, no, okay. Approve or deny?
Oh, is that what you're asking? You asked questions
Yeah.
first.
Sorry.
So usually you don't do the two together.
Okay.
So I approve, yes. 4, yes.
Okay. I, as chair, approve. Taylor Hanson?
Approve.
All right, and then you guys both made a motion and second.
Well, we still have to approve it.
Okay, Sam
Either way.
Morocco?
I approve the motion.
And John Doolin?
Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
all approved.
Motion carries.
All right,
Nice.
very good. So we're getting those up. All right, Mr. Carlisle, we could hear you now. It looks like maybe on your phone. Are you able to hear us?
Yep,
Very
I
good.
can now. I could not hear you. And is Jason on?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, we were both having trouble getting on. So anyway, okay. Hello, are we down at the reports, resolutions, etc.?
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, as far as financials go, we remain on target. You actually haven't spent very much money simply because the construction project hasn't really, gone, and we'll talk about that obviously, but hasn't proceeded quite as rapidly yet as we'd hoped. But so there's not been very many expenditures in that regard. Most of the expenditures have been so far with just the current consulting arrangements, which we'll talk about that in a moment. So other than that, financially, the DDA is right on target in accordance with the strategic plan. So is there any questions about the financials at this point?
No, no. Nope.
Okay. The next item was the White Lake Road improvements. At the last meeting, the board requested a modification of the agreement, which I believe has been included in your packet, which essentially says that the DDA will not be obligated for any reimbursement of cost unless the project proceeds. And so consequently, I believe that agreement has been revised in accordance with the DDA's wishes. Does the board see that in the, do you
Yes.
understand what?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's line
Okay.
item 5 is what was added, the contingency.
that's correct. So if that is to the board's satisfaction, then I think, you can proceed with that agreement, if that's acceptable to the board.
I believe the supervisor had,
No, I don't. I read it now. I'm good.
okay.
Thank you, though.
Yep. Yeah, I'm good with it now that it's in there. Have you guys had a chance
Has
to?
anyone seen the exhibit that's listed here, or, because it states in Exhibit A and there's no Exhibit A attached?
Yeah, did
Do
we,
we know if there's an Exhibit A?
so in the contract, it says that there's an exhibit A, like there would be a drawing or some type of attachment. Is there, it's not included in the packet, maybe it exists.
Yeah, the Exhibit A is the actual easement. The Exhibit A to that agreement, is that, you're referring
It
to
just
the
says,
agreement?
it says, it's in 1, 2, 3, the fourth paragraph, and it says the project where it shows the right-hand lane,
Under recitals,
but
right?
it says, see
Under-
attached
under
Exhibit A.
recitals.
Yes.
First page.
Okay. Yeah. That exhibit is simply showing the area of the easement. And I believe that if I remember correctly from reviewing the minutes, that somebody had a question about the extent of that right lane improvement.
Yeah, I
that
asked for the
right-hand
exhibit
turn.
last meeting.
Well, there is no exhibit of the actual design yet, if that's what you're asking. It actually has not been designed. What the easement agreement calls for is for there to be sufficient area, and I don't recall the exact dimensions, to be able to provide for sufficient area for the dedicated right-hand turn lane to be constructed there. So what that is going to look like is between where the current drive is, from, I guess is it Holcomb at that point? Holcomb Road to the drugstore out to Dixie Highway. At that point, a lane is going to start tapering down and then provide a full right-hand turn lane onto Dixie Highway. So what you see there now approximately 10 to 12 feet of that is going to be disturbed and will ultimately be an additional travel lane. And what you see now there is sort of a green, a lawn area, maybe a little bit of landscaping, excuse me, is now going to be occupied. And that is the easement that we're negotiating with the drugstore at this point in time. But the exhibit is the actual easement exhibit. And, if the board wants to see that, we'll provide you with a copy of it.
I have no other question.
Go ahead, Sam. Go
You
ahead.
said you had another
No,
one?
I said I have no other.
Oh. So, Dick, I just want some clarification because we had, I've heard a couple different, so we have the project across the street from the right turn lane project on the west side of Dixie.
Right. That's correct.
This agreement specifically is calling out that it refers to the right turn lane coming from the east, heading west, turning north on the Dixie in front of the Rite Aid. Walgreens, I mean, okay? Because that's what
Okay.
Exhibit A you explained is the right-hand turn lane. There's only, in the whole equation of that whole intersection renovation, there's only gonna be one right-hand turn lane being added, I believe, and it's the one in
That's
front
right.
of the Walgreens, correct? So I guess my
That's right.
question too goes to the supervisor is, are we tied in any way, the DDA, to the west side improvements of the road financially, in any way?
So actually, Dick, it is all four corners that are gonna be touched, even if we did not do the right turn lane, because there's ADA compliance issues on every single corner. And then there's also the sidewalk, which is not really sidewalk, it's the curb. They're adjusting that on all four corners, and they're moving light posts and street lights on all four corners. So when we say the project, it's not just the one side versus the other side, it's all four corners, and then we are adding on top of that the right turn lane from Holcomb going north on Dixie. Those are the right turn lane going north on Dixie, that is 100% on the township or the DDA.
Correct.
The other four, there's still going to be a township participation because they were going to forego, they were going to push us all the way out to 28, and then they were going to do a new safety study to see if we qualified for the funding for it. So there's a big risk. And so I told them that we will cover the gap because apparently they made an engineering mistake and didn't include the moving of some certain utility poles, and they said, okay, it's gonna cost more. I said, well, the township will pay the difference. Let's keep the $1.4 million or $2 million or whatever it was originally that we got. So there really is two distinct projects, but project one was the original. It does touch all four corners, even if we don't do anything with the right turn lane. But it's making it more ADA compliant and this putting in the sidewalks and getting off of the shoulder, which is what's being used as a sidewalk now.
Question. Can I ask you a question?
Yes, Sam.
Okay. So just so we're all following along, because I'm, what I hear is that the township as a whole is also going to be somehow contributing to the let's call it the Four Corner project.
Yeah.
The DDA now is on the hook for the whole entire right turn lane project, if at 700,000. I'm not sure if that's a guaranteed price or not, that we can do it for that, because if that goes up in 2 years, what happens?
This document says currently estimated, so I'm
Right.
sure if it goes up, we
Right.
probably
My,
can.
so I guess what I want clarification on, Chuck, is that, is the township as a whole, not the DDA, have, which I don't have a problem with, agreed to make the project happen and contribute to it? Or is the DDA the only financial entity that's committing to the project?
No,
Because I wasn't sure how to split the two up.
Here's
you know?
ultimately what I think it'll come down to, and Dick, you can correct me if you think I'm wrong. The Four Corner project, the township is gonna have to participate to a couple $100,000. The right turn lane, the bulk will probably be covered by the DDA if it gets done. The township will still probably have to backfill a little bit, because again, these are just estimates. And what the DDA is committing to is a fixed dollar amount.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, Okay, that's cool. that's
That's
what I
cool.
wanted clarification on, thank you.
Yeah. But the majority of the project is with the three legs of that intersection. That is an MDOT safety project that is intended to improve the accident situation at White Lake Road by providing the dual left-hand turns from the south leg. I know directions are a little difficult there, but the south leg of White Lake Road onto northbound Dixie Highway, there will be a dual left-hand turn lane. That's the bulk of the project. And the supervisor is correct. There are other elements of making that happen, including the pedestrian safety issue by providing the ADA accessible curb drops and moving overhead utility poles to be able to make this all happen. So those things would happen regardless of what we would try to do on the north leg. And when we originally spoke to MDOT, we pointed out it makes no sense to us to do this to tear this project at this intersection up and not do the north leg, which is in need of a dedicated right-hand turn lane, because we see that as a big problem in the future, well, now and in the future, if we don't do it, and we would just be doing it at a later date if we don't do it now. So I think that, that's the complete explanation of the scope of the project today, as has been explained to us and as we have explained to MDOT.
Sam?
I got a question, Dick, from another township board member that inquired to me about the exit leaving the Neiman's Plaza, that as on the planning commission side, we've been talking about the different, that exit, whether it should be a right turn only, go further out towards the condos in the back, whether that exit that the sign keeps getting hit on should be modified for this improvement. And I was wondering if that's something that we're gonna handle internally through site development on the planning commission, because that's really that's a county road, I think, where that actual exit is, not an MDOT road, so that would be up to us.
It will be a planning commission decision as you allow that property to proceed with its redevelopment. That will be an issue before the planning commission, Sam, and that will be something that you will need to deal with. It's not going to be something, see, the county is not involved in this project because this is an MDOT safety project, even though White Lake Road up to that point is a county road. Their involvement of this is really minimal. So that particular issue is something that the planning commission will need to deal with. And you have already expressed your wishes about that. So that will be something that you will need to continue to pursue as that property develops.
Thank you.
So as a point of information, the MDOT report they did include looking at that option. So if you want further recommendations, they would have addressed it in that report. They also looked at changing the egress and egress out of down at the other end of the plaza and talked about that as well. So that was all, they were discussing it when I was with them, that they were gonna put it into the final report. I don't think I've ever seen the final report, but that was one of the things that they were discussing and looking to address. So there might be another resource for the future if it doesn't get done by them, the planning commission could use.
Okay. Are we all in agreement with this agreement for the MDOT lane? $700,000, $140,000 per year for 5 years?
Yes.
I'll make a motion on it.
Go for it.
I'll make a motion to accept the agreement for payment of local match for Michigan Department of Transportation, Dixie Highway and White Lake Road intersection project, and direct the authorized people from the township to sign the agreement.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. All right. So, moving on to C, Mr. Carlisle, facade grant.
Yeah, this is Thank you. Very briefly, if you might note that when I revised the strategic investment plan, we were, in regards to this particular issue with the participation, I also modified one line item where we were, because you as a DDA board had expressed an interest in trying to do the facade grant program earlier than later. So next year, I did program $25,000 starting next year in the strategic plan for the facade grant program. My question for you is, would you like us to begin to develop for your consideration the guidelines and criteria for exactly how this program is going to look? I've already done a little bit of investigation regarding this with some other communities that we work with. But I think that this now being June, if you want to start this program by next year, that we need to start getting the guidelines in place. And that would include, an application, exactly for what types of improvements it will be eligible, exactly how you're going to administer this program, and then exactly how the funds are going to be dispersed by the township to a private party who does the improvements that you have approved. So I'm suggesting that we begin to do some preliminary work. There is, funds in the administrative portion of the budget to be able to do this. I'm just requesting approval from the DDA board to begin to give you the information you need to move forward with this program.
Chuck?
Can you please explain to me what the intent on this is? I'm sure it was probably at a meeting I missed. Dick?
Well, the intent, go ahead.
No, can you please explain what the intent of this is?
For me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. The intent is to provide some incentive grants for certain whatever types of improvements the DDA board approves for either both facade and certain site improvement grants for private properties along Dixie Highway to try to encourage some upgrades to properties. And these are usually, some type of matching grant in addition to what and someone who applies for it will pledge to invest in their property. But the idea is to try to incentivize certain site improvements for properties that are going to be improved.
Okay. As a follow-up question?
Yeah.
Have we talked at all about enforcement of our existing, PUD agreements and all that, where they were supposed to have, I go down that road all the time, and I know at one point there was a fair amount of landscaping, not to be mean, but in front of Outback. Now, a lot of that's dead. It doesn't even seem like they're even cutting their grass. Or is there anybody going through and it's saying that we need to maintain the original requirements? So if you cut down a tree, you need to replace a tree? Or are we going to give them money to go and, I guess, in essence, pay for them to replace the tree?
I thought it wasn't landscaping one.
Well,
When you say facade, then maybe I'm missing. Are you talking about on the physical
It
structure?
could be.
Signs, could be
Well,
sign
he-
improvements, could be
so
facelift, could be
He
paint.
mentioned that it could be. The planning commission has brought that issue up several times on the deficiencies of maintaining the approved site plans.
Right.
That's something that we've worked on. We haven't got a resolution, but to figure out how we would go about making sure people have what they agreed to, you're supposed to have 6 street trees and they're all dead. Well, at which point are you off the hook? So that's kind of a planning commission enforcement
Okay.
thing. But what I look at this as is that, that we need to just agree that, if what's the cap gonna be? So if it's up to 25,000 per business and you spend $50,000 on a facade change, we would get, the DDA would kick in 25,000.
Well, I think his number's 25 for the whole year, So like in my head, we're only doing one or two.
Yeah, well, I think that number can be increased. If there's participants, we have the ability to increase it whenever we want, but at least it's a starting point.
Well, that's just
beyond
the
cash
starting
we
year.
have.
Huh? What?
I said,
That's
not beyond
just the
cash we
beginning
have.
year.
No, but, right, but we have got, a lot, you know, he's saying for the initial first year to get the program started, so, but I would think that by the time we get the permit application, us to agree on the guidelines of what you would need to require to do it, and then what our cap would be, and what we think a match to the cap would be, we should have enough money to do 2 or 3 of them a year, or, you know, into the future, how I anticipate it happening. So without the incentive, you have a lot of businesses, and I'm not gonna name their names, but you know some that have been there since the 50s that haven't been touched, that it's worth it to the DDA, in my opinion, that if they say, hey, I'm gonna have plans drawn, architect, get the whole thing, we're gonna spend 50 grand, it's gonna cost 75, you know, if we put in 50, would the DDA cover the other, you know, we just need to know what how we feel comfortable with the math is what I think Dick's talking about, and that does need to start. I would like to start that dialogue, because everything takes forever to implement, you know?
In my opinion, why should we put money into landscaping if we're not gonna be the ones to maintain it and it's gonna go to crap again? I mean,
Can I
our
say
building's
something?
next to the Outback, so obviously I look at it often.
Maybe that's not
It's
part of
an
the
eyesore.
guideline. I think what Dick is trying to say, that he wants to create a guideline of what the grant would, you know, what it would shelter. And if we don't agree that landscaping should be included, then we wouldn't have that. Maybe it's for signs, maybe it's for, you know, to
Sorry,
change the
your hand.
facelift of the building. But, Mr. Jewell?
Yeah, do we know who's in the control room? Jason got kicked out, he's waiting in the waiting room to get
Oh,
let back in.
geez.
John Elke.
John Elke should be in there, but yeah.
John Elke,
I'll shoot him a
can you let
text.
Jason in?
I do. have
I'm
a
not
question.
opposed to us spending money on street trees. I mean, we need to, you know, I'm not saying put arborvitaes in or something on somebody's building, or some daylilies, but I mean, I think that there is some landscaping that doesn't require any maintenance, really. And if we want to clean up the
Yeah,
streetscape, we're
that's
going to
it.
have to invest in it, because they're just not going to.
I don't
But
agree
not-
with that, just my personal
I-
opinion, because I've never planted a tree that doesn't have to be watered or.
But even if we have to water it, I'm saying it doesn't matter. The end goal is living trees along Dixie Highway, or no living trees along Dixie Highway. So we're not doing it for the property owner. We could say, we're gonna plant trees in front of every business on Dixie Highway, and the DDA is gonna maintain them until they're established, and that would be a more than reasonable plan for a DDA to do to fix a streetscape or a district, is how I'm saying. I'm not saying it's for the people, it's for the district, you know, but.
Over here by myself.
You gotta back up, so you gotta more
Go ahead, I'm
Chuck, go ahead.
sorry.
Okay, so I understand what Dick's saying. We're trying to get going down the road to define what we are or are not going to cover. Okay, great. I get that. That's fine. I would just caution this board that this sounds very, very familiar to me, and it was the SAD paving project where we had a finite amount of money and we only could afford to do 3 people in the first year when we had 15 applicants. And then every year since then, or for the last year and a half since then, we've got people coming back, always asking for more money, and we just don't have the return on the money yet. So I would think that there has to be, if we're going to give that amount, it has to be a certain amount every year that we're going to give out, and that process needs to be very well defined. Or we need to figure out a way, like we're going to find at the next board meeting, that we're going to be able to go out and bond the projects for the paving. Is there a way to do some alternative financing to be able to cover if suddenly 40, or let's just say 15 companies come and say, yeah, we're going to redo our facade. If you do it, give me the 25 grand. And we're like, well, sorry, we're out. And then you're going to have to wait another year or 2. And then how do you carry it over? Or do you, if you get, does it start all over again? It's, you know, it's one of those things where you try to do the good thing, but without seeing far enough down the road, you end up causing more problems than good. So I would just caution the board, and I do agree we should probably get this going, but understand that year 2, 3, and 4 is where the problems are gonna come in, not year 1.
I think it's a little easier than the SADs, only because their numbers, if we could lock in a number amount, we could guarantee how many a year we could do a little easier. With the SADs, you got one that's a $3 million project, one that's a $2 million project, one that's a $7 million project, and you're only working with $3 million. I mean, we're really in a lot.
But if you ask
more-
Dick, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, so for example, in year 3, and let's presume the right turn lane is going to go through and we're on the hook for that, how much discretionary cash do we have?
Well, you're still carrying a healthy fund balance. I mean, the way I've programmed it in the strategic plan, that's the reason why the DDA's contribution is over a 5-year period. So they're still maintaining, a $300,000 fund balance every year, approximately, 250 to 350 a range over those period of time, fund balance to, have sufficient dollars to do other things.
Okay, so,
And not run out of money.
okay, so that means 12, an absolute maximum of 12, and we're broke.
12 what?
Projects, 12 facades, if 12 businesses come in, we're broke for the rest of the year.
Yeah, but he's saying
Yeah.
one $25,000 grant.
Right.
When we first talked about it, we were talking about $100,000 for the grant, so maybe that's 4 $25,000.
Oh, I thought I heard
grants.
Sam say 25,000 per business.
No.
Oh,
No.
okay, so that's, okay, well, Sam still thinks to say yes, it is 25.
That's what I was
Can
saying.
Mr. Chair, may I have the floor?
Sure.
So to
Go
sort
ahead.
of help with this
Yes, go ahead,
discussion?
Mr. Carlisle.
Okay, thank you.
When I originally set this up in your strategic plan, and remember, this was part of the DDA plan that you and the township board adopted originally, okay, 3 years ago. I set it out as starting out as at 50,000 and then eventually increasing to 100,000 total over a period of, that was over a period of 5 years, okay? Because the board had asked that you want to start this earlier, next year, I felt that starting out with $25,000 next year would be comfortable and still maintain, your other obligations and still maintain a healthy fund balance, then increasing it to 50,000, then it goes up to 100,000 over the next 3 years. So the idea is to ease your way into this. There are going to be criteria. You will need to have criteria so that everybody may not be eligible. Just because they ask for it doesn't mean you have to give it to them if you don't think it's a worthwhile project. But the idea is that this is just a start next year, and then it will be $100,000 a year for several. Unless the DDA decides to devote a substantial amount of money to a variety of other things, and we do have that programmed, $100,000 is something that would be very doable for the DDA to be able to, to accomplish if indeed there was demand for it. That's the reason that we did the strategic investment plan. So every year you can look at these things and decide, is this a priority? Do we want to increase funding for this? Or do we want to decrease funding for this? You'll find out fairly quickly if there's a demand for people wanting to apply for it. But the idea is just to start out fairly modestly and get your feet wet and get some experience with the program.
Supervisor.
Dick, you said this was brought up 3 years ago, and that's well before my time.
Yes.
Was the understanding that the pot in the beginning is going to be 25,000 total, and then applicants can put something in? Some may want 2,000, some may want 7, but no matter what, the disbursement's not going to be any more than 25, or there could be one person who wants 25 and they get all 25. That's what we're trying. The document has to explain that, right? But I mean, in concept 3 years ago, that was the concept.
Well, the concept was more general than that. It was an amount dedicated, on an annual basis for facade grants. And at that point, that was just the overall DDA plan, Mr. Supervisor. And, again, this the township, the DDA has the ability to define the specific scope of what you want to do. And that's why I'm suggesting, just because of this discussion, that we begin that discussion, fairly, sooner than later, so that you can decide exactly how you want this program to operate. It's really up to the board here as to how you would like it to operate.
Okay, so then, does that mean then, today, all we're looking at is, do we want to start formalizing this? Or if we're in agreement to give grants, then we're looking at how to formalize that going forward, and that's all we're really talking about doing today?
That's correct.
Okay, I'm good, thank you.
That's it. Yeah, that's
So
it.
I just want to clarify my point of it, and I guess I'm looking bigger scale because I know some buildings that, giving somebody $2,000 for a facade change is not an incentive to do a facade change. So we will need to find the balance of what is an incentive. The whole point of the DDA is to incentivize redevelopment. So if we're not doing stuff to make it worth, investing, they're not going to invest. I wouldn't give a crap about having $2,000 or $3,000 given to me. That would make no difference to me at all if I was going to redo the whole facade of my building. Would not be part of the decision-making process. And especially on a building that could cost $100,000 to put a facade on, you know what I mean? So that's why, as we get in these discussions, whether one huge building qualifies for the whole thing, and maybe they're the only applicant, so it makes sense, we'll have to decide what a limit would be. But if it's all, the whole point is to incentivize, so we gotta, you have a lot of experience in commercial, what would it take for you to do something that you've been saying you're thinking about doing for 20 years and you never got around to doing, or that there is no financial benefit to the facade of some buildings, them investing in them because they're renting them, getting the money, and nobody cares. So I think that part of the discussion I would like to have is really an honest thing of what would it take for you to pull the trigger to invest in your building. Not just that if you happen to do it, we'll throw you a bone on a few bucks, so I think that's where Dick's going, and I'm in favor of starting that dialogue,
Yes, I think we're all in favor of that. I think what Dick is asking is that his company would be allowed to make the guidelines and parameters for putting out such a grant. And if we don't want, landscaping to be part of it, or if we do want, because maybe eventually the way I thought of it when we first talked about it, and we've talked about it along the way, it wasn't just 3 years ago, is, if we'd had $100,000 per year, maybe that's, 4 $25,000 grants, or maybe it's $10,000 grants. We would want to see the participation. So I think it's great to start with 25, see what the participation is, because maybe nobody wants to do anything, which is a problem because it's our job to beautify Dixie Highway. And so we need to find a way, like Sam said, to incentivize them. And if, kicking in some capital after, and maybe it's a matching, they have to contribute at least $25,000 to get the $25,000. But I think what Dick is asking for is to set those parameters so that we have some guidelines to go off of.
I'll make a motion. That we instruct Carl Wortman, I believe we have money in the administrative budget for these types of things, to work on creating an application and guideline for a facade grant program, and how that would be facilitated in the future.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
All right. Thank you. Dixie Highway Gateway Project.
I'm going to defer, if Jason, are you on at this point, Jason?
Yes, I'm back in.
Oh, yeah, thank you. If you could just sort of give a status report to the board.
Yeah. So there's a letter in your agenda packet. Highlights are they have obviously ordered all of the materials. There's been some shortages, and I think because we have such a small quantity, we're kind of last on the list to get the delivery. They're still anticipating delivery of the storm structures that we need to move forward with construction sometime here towards the end of the month, beginning of July, and then construction should ramp back up again. In the meantime, we've been working with DTE to secure the electrical service to the property, also with the county health department for the well installation. And then we just finalized the sign permit for the gateway sign there with the township building department as well.
Thank you, Jason. I think my only question for you, and you might not have an answer, but there's a lot of materials that will need to be ordered for this project, and this is kind of the first thing. Is Premier working on getting those materials so that we're not backlogging every time we need to get materials for this project?
Yeah, so what they portrayed to us is that they ordered everything as soon as the contract was initiated. However, everything gets built upon what we put in the ground, and unfortunately, the storm sewer is one of the first items that needs to go in. So.
Okay, but all the vegetation, everything else, the structures, the seats, the art pieces, like all that stuff has been ordered, but we
Yeah,
can't
they've
start
submitted.
until.
They've submitted shop drawings for all of those. They've been reviewed, approved, and provided back to Premier for ordering.
Okay. All right, yeah, we just don't want to see, we get, part of the project done, then we're waiting more for materials, and things do happen, but this is kind of a rough start, because we've been waiting a month for this one thing, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
disappointing.
The only delay that we would expect at this point would be a delay for installing plants, just because once this all hits, we're going to be in the middle of the kind of the hot, dry season of July and August. So they may move forward with all of the hardscapes and the storm sewer and things like that, and then we'll wait till we get a little bit closer to fall to install plants.
Okay.
Who makes that decision?
It's actually written right into the contract. There was as part of the landscape spec, there was a kind of a window that plantings were prohibited from being installed during the certain range, just so that we can, do our best to guarantee growth and those taking.
Thank you.
All right. DDA Dixie Highway Pathway Enhancement Study.
I think Jason again, if you're.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, I can jump in there too. So everything is moving forward for the first public engagement process at next month's DDA meeting. So the PowerPoint presentation and questionnaire has been kind of put together there, and I know Steve Sutton from our office is going to work with Mr. Carlisle leading up to that meeting to just coordinate topics and scope and everything that we want to go over there. But that is moving forward as well.
All right, I know we created a subcommittee. Last meeting. I believe Sam was heading that up, you and Gus, and were you guys able to get together to?
We've had some discussions, but I talked with Chris from Carl Mortman today, and we have a meeting set up Tuesday at 10 a.m. Where there's been some conflicts with Tara and Gus's schedule, so at tonight's meeting, I was going to see if John or what? Or
Yeah, I have a job, sorry.
well, I know we do. I'm just saying I haven't been able, and Gus, runs his business, so I thought maybe that I could solicit somebody else to sit in with me Tuesday at 10 a.m. with Chris to go over some of the preliminary design ideas. John, are you potentially available?
I'm looking right now. Tuesday at 10 a.m. you said?
Yes.
I am not, sorry.
I will be there.
Okay.
So he was so happy.
I thought that somewhere in your application it said that you were going to participate in something. Let's talk about that later. Are you available, Dave?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm putting it in the calendar right now. Is that going to be here?
Right now it's at my office on Dixie Highway.
Okay. All right, sounds good. And
We were going to just meet there, coffee.
perfect. And then the last reports item is F, Landscape Feature Design Plan.
Yeah, well, Sam actually covered a portion of that. And we were also thinking in conjunction with Nowak and Frost that as part of the Dixie Highway, the pathway enhancement, that would be a great opportunity to get some public input on some, at this point, pretty rough ideas of landscape enhancements that may occur on Dixie Highway. This would be very preliminary, but we, Nowak and Frous approached us about participating in that, which we said was great, but we really felt we wanted to meet with this subcommittee first before having that meeting. So I think that's going to work out, and Chris and our team would be available to participate in that public input session, and begin the discussion of how we can make the kind of things we could do to beautify Dixie Highway.
All right. Very good. Any other comments regarding reports, resolutions from the board?
No, I mean, Tara, do you have any, and I know that you were not huge on the bench ideas on the pocket, parts going up. Is there any other comments you want to just throw out there before we have this meeting, so we?
I mean, I just think benches on Dixie Highway will never get used, and nobody's gonna sit there because you can't have a conversation, it's too loud, and it's not safe for children. That's my personal opinion.
Anything that you'd like to see? Trees?
We
We
want,
talked
They're
about-
far
talked
enough
about
back
trees.
from the road,
Yeah,
otherwise the salt
salted,
just kills
yeah.
them, and, you can
Right.
put as many trees as you want up, but if they're dead and we're all complaining about trees, I wouldn't suggest putting,
well, we're talking
Crap, a lot of
behind the
trees,
safety path,
right.
so,
That's what I mean, if
of
it's far
small
enough back.
pockets of landscaped patches. Questionably, I guess we could determine which would be appropriate with a seating area and which wouldn't, depending on where we find spots, if
I mean,
it
if you
made
drive down
sense.
Stashball right now, and you look at that road, and you drive down this road, the money that has been spent in this township is not being taken care of. So, in my opinion, to put a bunch more on Dixie Highway, when we wanna make it pretty, if we're not gonna maintain it, there's no reason to put,
It's dinner time.
Sorry.
She's like, come on, let's go.
she's
You
like,
got
I'm
better
not
things
waiting
to do."
anymore, what are you doing?
All right.
That's, I get what,
That's my personal
Yeah,
opinion.
I get it.
If
I-
we're
and
not
I
gonna
agree.
maintain it, we shouldn't spend money on it, because as a taxpayer and as a non-homestead taxpayer, I'd rather see money spent elsewhere.
Fair enough.
Wait,
No other comment?
Hi, Dick.
I'm just gonna say, let's just keep an open mind about this, okay?
I mean, I don't think that, this is just the very beginning. I mean, and I think as time goes on, there are gonna be some good ideas and there's gonna be some really bad ideas. And ultimately, it's gonna be the DDA board that makes that decision. So, I guess, rather than getting too excited about one idea or too negative about something else, let's just wait and see. Let's see how it all plays out, and there might be some ideas that come out of it. There already is, if you go to White Lake and Dixie, there is somebody put a bench in up there. I don't even know when that was done. And I don't know if I've ever seen anybody sit there, but it's
Way back off of Dixie Highway, and that is probably
the first place that we would recommend to do a redesign project before you invest in other areas. So let's, I hear exactly what you're saying, and it is a pretty harsh environment. Let's try to make that environment a little bit better and figure out ways that we can do that.
Yes, Chuck.
Since I also sit on the CIA, and Dick knows, I would like to see the CIA, or the Sashball corridor better than it looks now. But at the same token, I agree 100% with what you're saying, is that if we don't have a maintenance plan,
Right.
then it's all fruitless. I mean,
Right.
so if, like Sam says, we plant the trees, and I better see watering trucks going down the road to water them until they take root.
well, and that's something that, and this is way before.
And I think we can do that.
Way before Chuck's time and other supervisors, that the township has never put a lot of emphasis on beautification. I mean, our township hall, even when it was brand new, was modestly done. The corridors are, it's just grass. Like, now you're starting to see, though, other communities have figured out a way to do it. If you go to other surrounding communities, just Baldwin Road with the boulevard they did, with the landscaping and plantings and the mulching, I mean, it's pristine. Now, they're there's a price to pay for that, and we have never found value in that. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't change that, though, because that's one of the reasons why we're sitting on so much cash, because we don't spend it on anything. So if we find it valuable to have prettier streets, there's a lot of communities in Michigan where you drive through their towns and they're flowers along the, somebody's paying to do all of that, maintain it and water it because they see it as a community benefit. And it's not that it's not obtainable, it just hasn't been done here, and we need to decide whether or not, we want to move that way. But I think that there's a way of maintaining things. It's just our mentality's never been spend money on that, And I think people now are, with other communities, kind of raising their game. We're starting to notice that we're a little deficient in the beautification budget, let's call it, in my opinion. That's how I look at it.
I was gonna make one look at it. I did talk to Barnett because of all the, what do you call those? Roundabouts, thank you. They're constantly replacing stuff in there because people are running it over. So that's not an excuse not to do it. I'm just saying that if we're gonna do it, you gotta do it right and spend the money. And I'm not even sure if it doesn't make sense to put a sprinkler line all the way down and have it done that way instead of trying to worry about trucks getting down there and everything else. I mean, if we're gonna do it, let's do it right.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I said. I think that's what you're saying too.
Yeah, because obviously we didn't do it right with the CIA because it's not been maintained, and so my concern would be saying, yay, let's do all this, and then we're obviously, as a township, we don't even have the manpower to put up flag things, so.
And to your point, it should go beyond whoever sits in my chair,
Right.
so that the next person that comes in, they don't have a choice. It's gonna be done and maintained and taken care of going forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like the sprinkler line's a good idea,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Like if you're gonna do it and you're gonna spend the money, do it right or don't do it.
Mr. Julian, did you have something to say?
I'm sorry, you said
I thought you were just
that.
twisting your fingers.
I was, actually, I'm laughing at Dave's response to the sprinkler line. 'cause
It
we
sounds
had-
like we're excited about sprinklers now.
Yeah, we had that whole debate.
We weren't for the
So
pocket part.
the only thing I want to add is I agree with everything that Tara said about the dangers there, but I will say I would be open to a seating area if it were far enough back that I wouldn't feel guilty if something happened.
Sure.
But if we put a bench too close to the road and something happens, I would feel very bad about that. So,
Yes, agree. No further comments? All right, any public comment? No. So I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, good meeting.